This episode of the Jake Sewell Podcast brought to you by Boxer Baby Bow Ties. If you have a cat or dog, you have to check out Boxer Baby Bow Ties. These are fashionable accessories for cats and dogs that are handmade by owner Kyle Marie Carsey right here in Indiana. You live out of state? No worries. All items ship anywhere in the U.S. So pamper your fur baby and show off their unique personality with their accessories for fashion-forward pets. Contact Kyle at boxer.baby.bowties@gmail.com or on Instagram at boxer.babies.bowties. Also check out her online store at boxerbabyboutique.com. Jill, it's Sunday. I don't have to work tomorrow, so let's have a cocktail.
Whoop whoop.
What'd you make us tonight? We got two different looking cocktails on the table tonight.
But they're both whiskey cocktails.
Oh, you're drinking bourbon tonight.
Yours is a Manhattan, which has whiskey, vermouth, and bitters.
This is like one of the most classic cocktails, especially for whiskey drinkers.
Mine's a whiskey sour. It's whiskey, lemon juice, and simple syrup.
You usually don't drink whiskey.
I do not, and it's an okay of a drink to me. It's not something I would order at a bar.
I think both of them are really good entries into the whiskey world. Yours for mixed whiskey drinks. If you want to start getting into like Jack and Cokes or old fashions. And same with mine because it's mixed with vermouth and a little bitters, but you can really taste the bourbon. It starts getting you into really tasting the actual taste of the bourbon rather than a Coca-Cola flavor or something like that. So I think they're good entry-level cocktails on that point. And some people use Manhattan to start getting into drinking whiskey neat, which is just by itself.
Ugh.
I see your face over there. You're not a fan.
No.
If it's a good bourbon, what I consider a good bourbon is basically a $30 bottle and up. It should be drank by itself.
Or not at all.
No, definitely by itself. Like Woodford Reserve is one of my favorites. If I'm going to get a bottle of that, I just want to sip it neat. I don't want to mask the flavor with any Coke or any vermouth or anything like that.
Just give me my cranberry and vodka.
That's boring. So we started this podcast, the Jake Sewell Cocktail Hour, 3 episodes ago, and part of it was because you started bartending around the house. You said, hey, I want to make some drinks. I want to learn a little bit more about bartending. So you've been kicking out some killer drinks the last few weeks. And then this weekend, you got a chance to actually start bartending behind a real bar.
I did. I had the chance to bartend Friday night at the American Legion in Albany.
Shout out to Post 167.
They had a band Friday night, so they were expecting a little bit bigger crowd. And so I was helping another bartender out Friday night just to kind of learn the ropes behind the bar. I can mix drinks here all I want, but to get that behind the bar experience is something I needed.
What were some of the things behind the bar that you didn't either realize or think about here at home while you're making drinks that you had to consider while actually bartending for people?
I guess just the multitasking, making drink after drink. At first, they said I didn't have to ring up drinks, but then the cash register was really easy, and it was cash-only bar. So that's another aspect of it. Just operating the cash register and taking money and making change. Just opening bottles. Obviously they have a bigger selection of alcohol than we do here. Just kind of the ins and outs of behind a bar. I had never even really been behind a bar to even just look at one, I guess.
So, for those who don't know, Albany's a little small town, about 2,000 people, pretty simple.
Small town America.
Yeah. Did you make some complicated drinks like you make here, or was it a lot more beer, Jack and Cokes?
It was beer, not a lot of Jack and Cokes, surprisingly. It was rum and Cokes. I had a couple girls, they wanted Bahama Mamas, and that it's not typically a drink that you would order
No, I've never
at an
seen one.
American Legion.
I spent a lot of time at the Albany Legion, but I've never seen a Bahama Mama ordered.
And so she told me what was in it, and I just made one. I didn't measure or count count my pours. I just made one how I would have made it for myself, because it's a pretty simple drink. It's just rum, coconut rum, pineapple juice, orange juice, and a little bit of grenadine. And I gave it to her, the thing about the Legion that night was they all knew that I was a first timer and just kind of trying to get my feet wet. So I told her, I said, if you don't like it, I will make you another one. And she tasted it and she said, I love it. I'm like, okay. So I made those drinks the same way the rest of the night, and her and a couple of girls kept coming back for more. So obviously they were pretty good.
Well, hey, if they keep coming back for more and they're not complaining, you must have done
Right.
made a killer drink for them then. I bet you were pretty surprised though. You're at the little, Albany's Little Legion, ready to serve some beer, a few Jack and Cokes, whatever, and then you're getting Bahama Mama.
Oh, right. But it was young girls ordering it. It wasn't like a 65-year-old man was ordering a Bahama Mama.
Right. So you bartended at Legion Friday night. Your first time really bartending, actually behind a real bar, and then Saturday you're doing a wedding all by yourself.
Yes. So Victoria Brewer.
Shout out to Victoria Brewer, former guest and owner of Once Upon a Plate Catering.
She posted something on Facebook about needing bartenders for this past weekend.
And you're licensed, right?
I'm licensed now, yes. And so I messaged her and I told her what I was doing at the Legion, and she actually does go to that Legion a lot, and most of her staff are members or workers from that Legion. And so I asked her how much experience she requires, and she said there wouldn't need to be much for this wedding. It was just beer, wine, and then 2 pretty simple mixed drinks. So she told me I was in, and I bartended my first wedding last night, and turns out I had to do it by myself. There was our other bartender did not show up.
How many people were at this wedding?
100.
So it was probably a good amount of people to keep you busy but not be overwhelmed.
Right. I mean, the lines were maybe a couple people deep at certain times, right after the ceremony for, the beginning of cocktail hour. But I think people can see you by yourself behind the bar, and they know you're busting your butt to get drinks out. And so no one complained if anything took long. And I really didn't take long because it was super simple.
Yeah, and I think it helps. You're at a wedding. It was open bar, right?
Right, with what they had. I mean, this was at someone's property, so it wasn't a complete open bar.
But they weren't paying for drinks.
No.
If you're not paying for a drink, you don't mind waiting a couple minutes.
Right.
And I think you're going to tip better as well.
Yes. And like I said, they see me back there by myself doing everything.
So how'd it go for you? I mean, it's your first time and there's a lot to keep up with.
I liked it. I had fun. I was on my feet for probably 5 or 6 hours straight, and it's kind of funny. I'm actually sore after doing that. And it's places that you wouldn't think you would be sore, but you are.
Like
my forearms from you're giving me a look right now.
I'm just asking the question.
My forearms are sore from lugging bags of ice. I don't know how many cans of beer I opened yesterday. Probably more than I ever have in my life. And I have no fingernails left from opening the beer cans and trying to get the wraps off the bottles of wine. Is that whiskey sour already kicking in?
It's only one, but okay.
And my fingertips are sore too from doing all of that. And obviously my feet are sore from standing for however many hours.
Well, I'm sure, like I say, God knows how many cans of beer you opened. There's probably muscles in your wrist and forearm that you don't use very often.
And I was pouring from handles of alcohol, not like your fifths or what you're supposed to use. The bride and groom had purchased this alcohol themselves. So I'm literally tipping up an entire handle to mix these drinks.
So it sounded like a good night. You kind of got left alone by accident. There was supposed to be another bartender, but you were the only one and handled it and had a good time doing it. So I'm assuming you're going to want to do more.
Yeah, if it's a decent amount of people, I'd rather just do it by myself.
Don't have to split those
You don't
tips
have to
that way.
split the tips.
That's the key right there.
As long as people don't mind maybe a little bit longer of a wait.
I don't think people mind at weddings. That's the one thing about weddings. Everyone's in a good mood. Everyone's there to celebrate. If they got to wait an extra minute at the bar, they don't care. They're talking with some family member they haven't seen in a couple years, so who cares?
No, it was fun. I'm looking forward to my next.
Good. I'm glad that you started making drinks around here and doing your research, and now you're making money doing it. So hey, that's the best thing. So when we started this, we've talked about news and all this, pop culture. You wanted to do a top 5 list or a best of list, I guess you would say.
Yes, best of.
So you've been wanting to do this.
Each time.
So this episode is your episode.
Okay. Well, my initials are JS as well.
Yeah,
so.
We share the same initials. And you wanted to do a countdown. I said, Jill, this will be your episode. So we're going to count down the top 5.
Or 10.
5-ish.
10.
Okay, I have 5.
I have 10.
Whatever. Top movies from the 90s. And the reason I picked the 90s for movies, in my opinion, it is the best decade of movies, bar none.
I would agree.
I think there are great movies from the 70s. I think great movies from the 80s, but not as consistent throughout the whole decade as there is the 90s. Yes. I think a lot of people would agree with that. So we put together a list. I have 5.
I have 10.
And I have 3 that were just on the outside.
Your honorable mentions?
Just missed the list. And these are in no particular order.
Mine are not either.
But I will say, I had 4 that were a lock. I mean, as soon as we talked about this, 4
I
done.
could probably name them for you.
I'll do that. It's my list.
Okay. It's my episode.
It's my podcast.
But it's my episode.
Don't get too pushy. I had the number 5 was difficult for me, so I'll start the list off at number 5.
But it's not a countdown. It's just a best of.
My first 4 are interchangeable, but number 5 is definitely number 5.
Okay. So yours is like a top 4 plus an honorable mention.
Yeah, the first 4, like I said, interchangeable, hands down.
So how are we doing this? You say your top 4.
I'll do one, you do one. We'll go back and forth.
Okay. Because I feel like a few of ours are going to be the same.
No, that's fine. And there's a few movies from the 90s that if it's not in your top 5, I don't know what's wrong with you. I mean, there's certain movies from the 90s that are a lock, but there's some different ones. And I'll have to bring up some comments we got on Facebook of other people's top movies from the 90s. But for me, the one that just barely made it in, there was a couple choices.
This was your 5th choice?
This would be number 5.
Okay.
Jurassic Park.
I have that on my list. In my 10.
There were a couple others I really wanted to put in there, and we can talk about them a little bit later. But Jurassic Park, to me, I think maybe because the age I was when it came out, I think it came out in 94, 95. So I was about 10, 11 years old. And to see the dinosaurs.
Well, for me, that movie, those are some of the best special effects.
And
even now.
They still hold up today. And the thing I like about them today, they're not computer generated.
Right. They look more real than anything today.
And I think that's why that movie held up so much for me. It's Steven Spielberg. It's a classic. Great acting. Like you said, the animatronics are amazing. Like the scene, and first of all, spoiler alert for anyone who's ever seen these movies or has not seen these movies. There's going to be some spoiler alerts in these. These came out in the 90s.
Well, if you've not seen these movies,
right,
then there's something wrong with you.
The scene with the velociraptors in the kitchen, to this day, still scares the hell out of me. And when I was 11 years old, back in 95 or whenever it was scary as can be. So that's why I put Jurassic Park in the top 5, because it holds up today. The animatronics are great. The acting's great. And honestly, that idea of being able to recreate life scientifically kind of exists.
Right. I mean, maybe not like dinosaurs, but
it's not that far out of the concept to get blood from a mosquito that's buried in some amber millions of years ago and extract the DNA from it. It's not that crazy of an idea.
I really liked the cars that they made to go through the park.
The Jeeps that were on the track.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great scenes in that movie. I mean, across the board, that's a fun one to watch. That's one of those, if it's on TV, I'm going to watch it.
Well, I think any of these, if they're on TV, we're going to watch them.
There's one I won't.
Oh, I already know what it is.
That sounds crazy, but...
I already know what it is.
Okay, so that's number 5 for me. Jurassic Park.
Okay. Do you want me to name one of mine or just go through your top 4?
No, you got to at least have a 5. Like
no,
that top group.
These are non-negotiables.
Then we'll be here all night. First movie.
On my list?
Yeah.
Lion King.
Classic.
Literally my favorite Disney movie.
It's pretty good. It's pretty sad in parts.
Well, I don't watch the Mufasa part. When I was a kid, I used to yell at the TV. I used to yell at Scar.
You literally yelled at the TV. I would like to see that.
Yeah, because he was a jerk.
Is that back when you had your bowl cut?
That might have been a little past the bowl
Jill had a
cut
bowl
days.
cut back in the day.
Because it came out, I think, in 94, so I was 7. I was just getting over the bowl cut
Just
stage.
over the bowl cut. You had a killer bowl cut. Even the boys were jealous of your bowl cut.
Uh-huh.
No, Lion King is a great movie.
And the Broadway musical is fantastic.
And the soundtrack, Elton John,
Mm-hmm.
Circle of Life, all those good songs. That's a good pick.
I
Especially
wanted at least one Disney movie on here. I had to pick one Disney movie.
Disney,
and that was
Disney
the one.
killed it in the 90s.
Yes.
Actually, none of those made my list, but I'm a
Well,
huge
I'm not surprised about
animated
that.
fan. So, all right. So Lion King, I can definitely agree with that. All right. Next one for me, because I'm a huge mobster guy. I love mafia movies. Goodfellas.
Didn't make my top 10. I've only seen it the one time. We just watched it a few weeks ago.
That's all you have to see, though. You only need to see it once. You got De Niro,
well, it didn't make my top
Pesci,
10.
Ray Liotta, and it was
I
based
just
off a true
can't-
story.
It wasn't like it was not a good movie. I'm just not a huge fan of the mobster movies.
The thing about that movie, they really didn't exaggerate too much. I mean, I think they exaggerated the glory of that lifestyle, but as far as the brutality and the murder, like it shined really accurate to how it actually happened. So you didn't get into the mafia movies, anything like
No,
that?
it was good. I
It's a
obviously
classic.
don't have it on my top 10.
It's literally 1A, 1B of the best monster movies ever with The Godfather.
I've still not seen The Godfather.
Godfather, I think, is a little harder to watch. It's a little slower. It's 3 hours long. Where Goodfellas is a little bit more action, a lot quicker. So we'll have to watch The Godfather sometime, but I think you'll find it slow if you didn't
Okay.
get into Goodfellas. So that would be, I guess, number 4 for me.
So am I doing another one of mine?
Yeah, since you got like
Okay.
20 of them.
So the next one I wrote down was Armageddon.
Armageddon's decent.
And because when we first started talking that we were going to do this list, you said, should we do the best or our favorites? And to me, I feel like they're kind of just one and the same. Was Armageddon some, Oscar nominated movie? No. But do I love it? Yes.
It's a good movie. It's funny. It's just a little way too far-fetched for me.
True. But that could actually happen. Like, you don't think someday in human life there's going to be some big asteroid?
I don't think
Coming
we
to
have
Earth?
the technology to send 2 ships up, land on the thing, install a nuclear missile or nuclear warheads,
Well, they talk about it in the movie, how
Blow it up,
far-fetched the
and
idea
then fly
is.
back. Don't get me wrong, I think it's funny, especially the scenes when they're leading up to the launch,
Yes, they're
when they're out
getting-
partying and
Well,
stuff.
they're getting their training. It has a great cast.
The cast is fantastic.
Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton, Liv Tyler,
Steve
Bruce
Buscemi.
Willis, Ben Affleck. I will say that was one of Ben Affleck's first movies, and I thought he was really hot.
Of course you did.
But I will say
Liv Tyler was hot in it too, though. So
my favorite part of that entire movie, and it gives me chills every time I watch it. And again, another spoiler if you've never seen Armageddon.
okay, if you haven't seen Armageddon by 2019,
It's on TV all the time.
turn the podcast off, go watch Armageddon, and come back.
At the end, because you know how Ben Affleck draws the short straw. but Bruce Willis he wants to be the one to stay behind and blow up the meteor. And, it's his death sentence pretty much. Someone has to stay behind to activate the nuke or detonate the nuke. And so when that happens, he saves the world and blah, blah, blah. They get back to Earth and Liv Tyler's reuniting with Ben Affleck and they're, smooching. I believe, here I am, I'm drawing a blank and it's one of my favorite movies.
You've seen this movie 100 times.
I know. Well, it's either Billy Bob Thornton, who's like the flight commander.
He was a NASA guy, yeah.
Or it's the like big time astronaut guy that goes with him and he actually survives. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank and I can't figure out who it was. But anyways, I want to say it's the astronaut guy. He goes up to Liv Tyler and he introduces himself. He says, "I'm so and so and so." He's like, "I just wanted to shake the daughter's hand of the bravest man I've ever met." Because throughout the movie they had their squabbles and they thought this group was just a bunch of misfits. And that part just really gets to me, that he's going up to this guy's daughter that literally just sacrificed his life to save the entire planet. He said, "I just wanted to shake the daughter's hand of the bravest man I ever met." And I always get chills every time I see that part.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a great part. I really like the scene when they're like, the drillers are making their demands to go up in space.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to pay taxes anymore. And
they want to go to the White Horse. He makes the typo of
the White House.
Yeah, White House. Okay, so that's on my list.
That's a good one. And the soundtrack's fantastic.
Yes.
Little Aerosmith in the late 90s. All right, next one for me. I think it's a movie I've actually only seen 2 times. I saw it once because you have to. Second time, I forget. It was a history class or something. Schindler's List.
I did not put that on my list, but I have seen it once, and I'm kind of with you. I don't really care to see it again, only because I don't know if I could watch it again.
I truly think it's one of the top, and I've never seen Casablanca,
Historical
which
movie.
is always at the top of the list. What's the Civil War movie?
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind, and then it's Schindler's List. I think it's one of the best movies of all time, hands down. But to sit and watch that movie, it's so depressing.
You'd almost think there's something like wrong with you if you want to sit and watch that movie over and over again.
But I think you have to watch it once every few years.
Yeah, I've not seen it since
5-10
high
years.
school.
It's so well done. Once again, I believe it's Steven Spielberg. It's everything you read and you watch documentaries. It's so accurate to how the actual Holocaust was. You start off with the ghetto, and then how they liquidate that, move them to the Holocaust or to the concentration camps. But it's one of those movies you watch and you really feel like it's almost a documentary. I think a big part of that because it's in black and white. And I think the hardest thing about that movie to watch it, and all the misery and all the torture and all the murder in that movie, is the little girl in the red coat, which is the one Oscar Schindler sees up on the hill. He sees the little girl, and then he sees her. She dies, and his transformation of a character from basically a greedy German trying to make money any way he can, and he just throughout the movie he sees all the bad the Nazis are doing, and he starts trying to shelter the Jews in his factory. And the way, just the way the whole movie turns out, that's, to me, I think it's one of the best movies of all time, probably the best movie of the 90s. But I don't know if I can put it at number one because I've really only seen it twice, because it's one of those, like you said, it's really hard to sit and watch.
Mm-hmm.
So you thought about that movie?
Yeah, it just didn't make it on my list.
It might be one I haven't seen it in probably 7-8 years.
It's been long. I haven't seen it since high school.
We might have to make a couple cocktails that night and kind of get loosened up to deal with that one. But it's one that has to be seen. I think it should be seen in all history classes. If you're unfamiliar with anything about World War II or the Holocaust, it's one you have to watch. As hard as it is. So that's why it made my list. It's so well done. The fact it's in black and white makes it almost feel like you're there, and it's really, it's based on a true story, but it's just so well done. So that's why I picked Schindler's List.
Okay. My turn. Titanic.
Oh, God. I knew you'd pick this movie, and I'm going to go on a rant.
Okay, but you cannot argue with how like good of a movie it is.
No, I'm going to go on a rant here. Incredible movie. The visuals, the ship, the acting, just the way they literally make you feel like you're in that time period. It's fantastic. But I'm sorry. Rose could have scooted her ass over and shared that door.
But they already they tried in the movie, Jake. They
tried
tried both of them getting on it, and they kept falling off.
It was like a half-ass try. They could have really worked together. She could have laid on top of him. I mean, they were pretty close. She could have laid on top of him. They could have shared the door. They both would have survived, and you wouldn't even need a movie.
Yeah, and we've already argued about this how many times. So if we're ever on a ship and our ship goes down, Jake expects us to like take turns getting on and off some piece of furniture to save our lives.
We don't have to take turns. There was enough room for both those people. There are pictures on the internet that people actually measured it and like did comparisons and everything. There's plenty of room on that door.
But they're also in like 30-degree water.
More reason to
trying to flail around and get on this door.
More reason to try and share.
Okay.
Jack, I feel bad for you because Rose could have scooted over a little bit.
Poor Leonardo.
And made room for both use. But I will say it's an incredible movie. Like I said, the visual effects.
The soundtrack's really good too.
Soundtrack. I mean, you got Celine Dion, one of the best female vocalists ever. That's a whole nother debate for another day.
Yes.
I think this is really well done. And I think one of my favorite characters, and I forget her name, Catherine Bates plays her.
Molly Brown.
Molly Brown. There you go. I think she's my favorite character in the whole movie.
She's pretty funny.
She's hilarious. Kate Winslet, Rose, a little too serious. You know, she's kind of the snobby upper class.
Jack loosens her up a little bit.
Jack was fun, but I still think that whole movie has a huge a huge hole in the plot with that door.
Okay, but any historical drama you watch, someone has to die. Look at Pearl Harbor.
That's another one that would have been a great movie without the love story.
Well, and I thought about it for this list, but it came out in 2001. So that's why I kept it off, obviously.
It was a good movie, but there was some holes in the love story. And
Okay, moving on.
But Titanic is a great movie, and it actually did make my short list.
It did make your short list?
It
That's
did.
surprising. That's shocking, actually.
It's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Next for me, one of my all-time favorites, Forrest Gump.
Oh, yeah. Of course. That's not mine.
It has to be. The thing I get most out of Forrest Gump is if you're just nice to people and you work hard, you might not be the smartest.
I may not be a smart man.
You might not be the brightest, but if you just work hard and you're nice to people, good things will happen to you. And literally, that's the number one thing I get out of that movie. And it's hilarious.
I just like to do an impression of him.
But there are a couple scenes it's hard to watch. When his mama dies.
Mama dies, Bubba dies, Jenny dies.
I don't feel bad for Jenny.
Oh, okay, yeah. What is with you in these movies, and you just have major beef with the main female characters?
Okay, first of all, Jenny never loved him until she got AIDS.
She just didn't know that she loved him.
If she would have got with him when they were swinging from that tree in his yard, her life would have been way better.
It's not a movie.
That doesn't matter. All I'm saying is, she did not love Forrest until she was messed
I think
up
she
on
did.
AIDS.
She just didn't know it.
She didn't come back to him.
And you've said she didn't love him until he started making all that money.
Yeah, all of his Apple money, his fruit money.
Fruit company.
And she finally gets back with him after she has this kid. Like, it just kills me. Like, he's so nice. And then Jenny's like, oh, let me have your kid, and I'm going to get AIDS, and then we'll hang out.
One of my favorite parts is when she's introducing him to their son. And she goes, I almost can't even say it. His name's Forrest. And he's like, oh, like me. Or I don't know. He must not even say anything.
He's got a daddy named Forrest, too.
Well, no, she goes, he's named after his daddy. Tom Hanks goes, he's got a daddy named Forrest, too.
And that's what I love about Forrest Gump. And Tom Hanks, God, I mean, to me, one of the best actors ever.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And they always say never take a trip with Tom Hanks because you're going to end up in Vietnam. You're going to end up on an island like in Castaway, Apollo 13. You're going to be stranded around the moon. You're going to get locked in a terminal, or you're going to end up with AIDS like in Philadelphia.
I don't think I've seen that.
You
one.
never seen Philadelphia?
No.
Okay, you need to watch some movies that might make your top 5.
Okay.
So Forrest Gump, I think if it's not in your top 5 from the 90s, I don't know what movies you're watching.
Not good ones.
Not the classics.
Okay, me next.
Yep.
I'm trying to decide which ones I want to talk about.
You got like 20 over there.
I have 5 left. I'm halfway through my list.
I like how you prepared too. You have your list on an envelope. It looks like it's like a health insurance card envelope from
It's
2 months ago.
I think like a medical bill from our insurance company.
You can tell you wrote that down 12 minutes ago.
Okay. Yeah. I'll throw this one out there just because it's, again, it's not winning any Oscars. But if it's on, I'm watching it. And it's so quotable. Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber's good. There's better.
Well, I realize that. It's just so many one-liners. And you got...
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I drew a blank.
Jeff Daniels.
Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels.
I think Ace Ventura is better.
I cannot get into Ace Ventura.
I like Liar Liar better.
I don't know. I just like Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber, I like it. It's quotable, like you said. It's a little too much of the dumb humor,
comedy.
and that's not my sense of humor, I guess. Now, I know, obviously, it's
There
a
are
classic.
some parts that I could do without.
Like, some of my favorite parts of the movie are just some of the one-liners that
Yes.
really aren't quote-unquote funny, but I find them funny. But I have a very dry sense of humor, so...
Yes, you do. Very dry.
Well, you might as well keep going, since
Okay.
I only have one more in my top 5.
And I know exactly which one it is.
Well,
so.
everyone does. If they don't know it by now, they don't know me.
Okay, I'll throw this one out there. Home Alone.
No.
I love Home Alone.
It's not good.
Because it's too far-fetched. Do you have beef with the mom in that movie? Because she leaves her kid at home?
No, I have beef with Joe Pesci's character. First of all, no one is that stupid. If the door handle's hot, let go. If there's Hot Wheels on the floor, step around them.
He doesn't see them.
I mean, seriously. No crooks are that dumb.
It's a movie.
It might be, but it has holes in its plot.
Pretty much Jake's movies would be like surveillance footage.
Because
nothing of that is far-fetched.
hey, if those are good criminals, they would have tied that kid up, robbed the house, and got out of there in 15 minutes.
And then it's not a movie.
Then you don't have a plot.
Again, your movie would be just surveillance videos of people.
I'm just saying, I don't think it's that great a movie.
Oh, wait, that's why we're debating this.
It's overrated.
Okay, moving on.
Do you consider it a Christmas movie? Because that's a big debate, too.
It takes place at Christmas time.
That's what I'm saying. Do you consider?
Yes.
Is it a movie you're watching? Okay.
Yes. Okay.
I have one, actually, that...
An honorable mention?
Yeah. Saving Private Ryan.
I thought about that one. I just didn't put it on here.
I think
first scene.
You're right. The whole movie, I mean, to me, in parts, it gets a little slow, but that first 20-minute scene on
D-Day?
Omaha Beach, D-Day, and all the historians you listen to, that's the most accurate portrayal of war in any movie. And when you watch that, you're almost scared watching it. And then you think, in my opinion, our greatest generation, the young men who served in World War II, went through that. So you watch that, you get a whole new appreciation for what those guys did. I mean, to me, that one and Jurassic Park were 1A, 1B. I think Jurassic Park with the animatronics, the plot, everything else kind of did it for me. But Saving Private Ryan's one of those, if it's on. But there are a few scenes of Saving Private Ryan I can't watch.
Too gory?
It's just when the American and German are basically hand-to-hand combat and the one guy gets stabbed. It's a slow, agonizing... That scene's hard to watch.
I can't honestly say I've seen it any
It's brutal.
recent time.
Brutal. But that's one of those I truly enjoy. I think it's a great historical movie. It just didn't make my top 5.
Okay. My next one, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Robin Williams at his best.
That's a movie, again, if it's on, I'm going to be watching it.
Yeah, that's one I can't say too many bad things about.
And Robin Williams is, one of the greats of all time too.
He makes that movie.
But to just so accurately portray an old lady and also his own character too.
Robin Williams had so many great movies, and I definitely think that's one of his best ones.
It's just, I don't know. It's a good movie.
It's
and I saw The House where
it's heartwarming. I mean, it's one of those,
Yeah.
you watch it, you at the end of it, you're happy because everything works out.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's one I didn't put on my list, but I have nothing bad to say about that movie, and I'm pretty critical of most movies.
Well, I can tell.
I'm sorry, Home Alone's
Did you have beef with Mrs. Doubtfire?
Not really, no. It's hilarious.
Okay.
I love that one. I have another honorable mention, and you'll probably get mad about this. It was on this afternoon. Sandlot.
Okay, I have that on my list. I was almost gonna talk about that one as my last one.
That's your absolute favorite of the 90s?
That's probably top 3 or 4 for
it's
sure.
It's really good.
Definitely the best baseball movie.
From the 90s, it is. In my opinion, it's the second best baseball movie.
Okay, well, we're not talking about Major League. That came out in the 80s.
It did, but I'm saying as far as overall baseball movies, it would be second to Major League.
I'll disagree with you on that. Okay, so The Sandlot. Yes, literally one of my favorite movies.
It's really good.
And I hope I was trying to get Blair to watch it a little bit today too, when the dog, at the end, where do they show the dog? So I hope it's a movie that he can watch.
I think he will, because we'll have it on a lot. He's 18 months, and he was more worried about the little lawnmower in the kitchen or whatever.
It's a movie that it reminds me of a time that I wish we grew up in. 50s, 60s, 70s. It just kind of it almost reminds me of my dad's childhood or something. How he's talked about living as a kid.
It's so nostalgic because you can tell none of those kids are rich. Their highlight of the day is going and playing baseball at the Sandlot. And that's the way it used to be. You used to drive by. And I really feel like our generation, because we were 90s kids, we did go to the park. We did go play pickup basketball at the local schoolyard or get pickup baseball games going. In the early 90s, late 90s, I think we did that. And then the internet came out, and that, obviously now has shifted. But I think that's why we connect to that movie, because we kind of did do that a little bit. Maybe it's not as much as the 50s.
Right.
But we played outside. We rode our bikes places. We went out and played pass or pickup basketball or kickball or whatever.
And so many one-liners. And again, if you've not seen The Sandlot, I don't know if we can be friends.
Press pause. Go watch Sandlot. Come back.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you just said there.
On the podcast. You got to see The Sandlot. It is really good. And it's kind of that coming-of-age tale. New kid in town. You got the local superstar and Benny. You got the annoying catcher. I forget his name.
Oh, gosh. That's going to...
I want to say Ham, but I think it's his name in another movie. I'll probably get hate mail on this, but you got Squints, who's trying
Yeah.
Squints is trying to make out with the lifeguard at the pool, Wonder Peppercorn.
I don't know how many people, when I did lifeguard for
you were a lifeguard.
Years, they're like, oh, has anyone ever, pulled a Squints on you? The answer's no. But
no?
No. But that is a classic scene.
Oh, yeah.
From a movie.
And the fact that she smiles at him as he's getting kicked out of the pool. I mean, yeah, it's a great movie. It's one of those.
It's narrated very well.
It's very good.
I love the parts. The two brothers. Is it Tommy and... What's the older brother's name?
It's Tommy.
Tommy and Timmy, maybe?
I think you're right. Tommy and Timmy.
And it's he
Shut
always,
up, Tommy.
well, yeah, and he always copies whatever the older brother says, and they keep doing that several rounds, and he's like, "Shut up, Tommy."
Yeah, that one's fantastic. And you got James Earl Jones in there as the quote unquote mean guy next door, even though they never really try to meet him
Right.
until the end. And what is it he says about you could have just knocked on the
Or
door?
he's like, "Why didn't you just knock on the door? I would have got it for you." And then
Yeah.
they all blame Squints.
Squints was always the one that always causing trouble.
Yeah, no, I love that movie so much.
They had a reunion a couple years. They came out in '93,
So last year.
yeah. But it was funny. All the baseball players came back except Benny, who was I guess in jail for like domestic dispute or something. So sounds like Benny's had a rough patch, but he's great in that movie.
And that will be a movie that Blair will be watching
Oh yeah,
in a couple years.
for sure.
Well, I have one more, and I know you do too. I bet you can't come up with my last one.
Well, obviously, my last one, anyone who knows me, is Shawshank. The Shawshank Redemption is hands down the best movie. My favorite movie from the 90s. Like I said, I think Schindler's List is the absolute best movie perhaps ever made. But if I'm going to sit and watch a movie, it's going to be Shawshank because it's a hell of a lot less depressing than Schindler's List. So Shawshank Redemption, Tim Robbins, Morgan Freeman, hands down one of the best.
That didn't make my list. I'm not saying... Oh, no. You wait 1 second. I'm not saying it's not a great movie. It's just not one of my favorites.
You're telling me we made a list of the best movies from the 90s.
I might... Here's the one I would substitute out if I was going to put Shawshank on there.
And you put...
It definitely would be on my honorable mention.
And you put like 20 movies on your list,
There's
on your
10.
envelope,
There's 10.
your handy envelope, and Shawshank Redemption was not one of them.
I would probably substitute out Dumb and Dumber for Shawshank.
That's not even close. I don't... Jill,
But
how is...
we're not debating the best movies. We're debating our favorite movies. There's a difference.
No, there's
I
not.
would rather sit and watch Dumb and Dumber because it's just one of those like feel-good movies. You don't have to like think a whole lot. Than watch Shawshank, which is kind of depressing at times.
I think we might have to just stop this episode right now.
I still have one movie left.
You made a list of what? 10 movies? And you don't have Shawshank on it?
We had how many of the other ones the same?
This could be an issue for our marriage.
Oh, gosh.
How do you not have Shawshank? I get it. It might not be your number one, but it's literally one of the best movies of the 90s of all time.
Is it because there's no female lead and you don't have beef with her?
Well, the only female in it was his whorish wife that cheated on him and then got him up for double murder. So, yeah, I kind of got a beef with her, I guess you would say.
And you're right. There's no females in the whole movie because it's a men's prison.
Shawshank's fantastic. Hands down, probably my favorite movie from the 90s. Like I said, I think Schindler's is absolutely the best movie. Shawshank is one I'll actually sit and watch every time it's on. Great thing about Shawshank, a majority of it was filmed in Mansfield, Ohio. So you and I have traveled up to there to see the prison most of it was filmed in. All the outdoor scenes were filmed right in Mansfield, Ohio. So it's kind of local for you. It's only an hour from your house.
Mm-hmm.
The house you grew up in Columbus. So that's another reason I like it, because you actually go and see, the rec area or the drive up to the prison, in the little bus in the beginning, or Brooks' apartment or the warden's office. Like, you can go see all that, especially here, in Indiana. It's less than a 3-hour drive. I just cannot believe you don't have Shawshank in your top 10.
I'm not saying it's not a great movie. It's just not one of my favorites. I feel like there's a difference.
There shouldn't be. It's an incredible movie.
I just feel like it's kind of depressing at
This
times.
top 5 list thing is going to take off because we're going to debate these intensely, and I can only imagine our next one. The fact you don't have Shawshank, it just blows my mind.
Okay, can I do an honorable mention real quick? And this is, I believe this came out in the 90s.
You
too.
gave it a lot of honorable mention. This is like participation trophies.
No, I don't. I had a top 10. This is actually my first honorable mention.
Okay.
Green Mile.
I've seen it once.
Well, it's another one that you said you wouldn't want to see it again. I feel like that's a really good movie.
And
Again, kind of depressing.
and the execution scene is what kills me.
Yes.
When the guard doesn't put the water instead, he just puts dry sponge. That scene kills me. I can't watch it.
Okay, this I wouldn't. You didn't give me a chance to list my number one because I was gonna probably put The Sandlot. This isn't in any regards a number one from the '90s. It's just one of my favorites. You probably ask my parents because I quoted it all the time when it came out. Clueless. You're smiling at me because I don't think you've ever even seen it.
Um, I'm smiling at you because you did not include Shawshank,
Okay, but we're moving on from Shawshank.
Schindler's List.
That could have been an honorable mention for me.
I don't think you
Again, it's not one of my favorite movies. I'm not saying it's not a great movie. It's just not one of my favorite movies.
I don't think you had Jurassic Park on your list.
No, it was.
It was okay. Well, you got a couple right.
In The Sandlot.
You're telling me.
We are moving past Shawshank. Can we please talk
Okay.
about my last one?
Let's talk about Clueless because
You're smiling at me again because I don't think you've ever seen it.
you have it on all the time. I've seen parts of it.
No, you haven't. It's
Who's
kind of like the Sex and the City reference because you've seen all these episodes of it and you really haven't.
They're all the same. There's the blonde chick who complains about everything, and then there's
I
another
don't-
blonde girl who's a whore.
Okay, but we don't need to talk about Sex and the City. Okay, Clueless.
Okay, who's in Clueless?
Alicia Silverstone, Stacey Dash.
Okay,
Brittany, you love Brittany Murphy. She's in Clueless. Did you know that?
I've seen the movie.
No, I don't
You
think you
have it
have.
on all the time,
No, I don't. When do I ever even watch movies anymore?
every Saturday morning.
No, I don't.
Brittany Murphy is fantastic, and I think she's great in a lot
What's
of movies.
Clueless about? Let's give a summary here.
I'm assuming it's a coming to age teenage movie.
Okay.
That was easy. They in college or high school?
See, you don't know because you've never seen it.
I've seen it.
Who's the guy? What's the guy's name that
I
she ends
don't
up
know.
with? What's the actor?
I don't know who is it.
It's Paul Rudd.
Is it the one where she's really out of place and she gets hooked up with the really popular girls?
Brittany Murphy is.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
And the other girls are really popular and they take her in, but they're kind of mean to her in a sense.
They're not mean to her.
No?
No.
Hmm.
That you're talking about Mean Girls?
Maybe.
That's Lindsay Lohan.
The fact I'm talking about a movie compared to Mean Girls, I don't even think it should be on this list. But hey, it's your opinion, and that's okay.
Clueless and Mean Girls aren't even in the same category.
Okay. So really, Clueless.
You Google any top 90s movies list, which I did. Clueless is on there.
Yeah, I saw it. I ignored it.
Okay. That's your opinion.
So why do you like that movie so much? And I'll let you talk on that.
Again, I think nostalgia. I think it came out in 95, so I was 8. It was about high school kids. I'm trying to be all cool like the high school kids. And it's set in Beverly Hills because, that's so much like how we grew up, Beverly Hills, California.
I've been to Reynoldsburg, Ohio. It's really similar.
I don't know. I just like it. And it kind of just reminds you a little bit of a simpler time, even though they are rich kids from Beverly Hills. And
it was kind of a precursor to all the reality shows I think was going to be coming out in the next few years.
Clueless?
What I'm saying is you had the rich kids in Hollywood and LA. You wanted to see their
gotcha.
lifestyle. Then you had Beverly Hills 90210. Then you had Laguna and the Hill, like all those came out.
And I think it's another takeaway from the movie is kind of not to judge a book by its cover, as I think people would look at Cher, the main character, and think she's some like ditzy airhead snob, and she's really not. And they kind of showcase that throughout the movie. She's nice, and she welcomes Brittany Murphy into her group, and I mean they'll do like a makeover on Brittany, but I don't know. She's just very nice to her, and I just like it. Is it some Oscar-nominated movie? No, but it's one of my favorites.
True. Yeah, there's a few movies from the 90s that I didn't mention that I really enjoy watching them. One of my favorites that, to me, is not an incredible movie, but I really enjoy watching it, My Cousin Vinny. Joe Pesci. No, it's hilarious.
No.
Marissa Tomei is fantastic in that movie.
Yeah, she's okay.
She's beautiful. And 2, she's a great actress in that movie.
Well, she can do a lot better than Vinny in that movie.
Joe Pesci had a lot of money at the time. I'm sure
Joe Pesci or Vinny?
Well, My Cousin Vinny is
I
Joe
know,
Pesci.
but Vinny in the
She won an
movie,
Oscar for Best Supporting Actress in a
but
comedy.
Vinny in the movie did not have a lot of money. The character did
No,
not have a
but
lot of money.
he's got swag. That's all he needs. Yeah, I just use swag.
Okay.
Do you have any other movies that like aren't in? I mean, to me, obviously the movies I listed, the first 5 I listed, are the best movie of the '90s. Shawshank, Forrest Gump, Schindler's List, Goodfellas, Jurassic Park. Done. Apollo 13.
Oh, what year did that come out?
97, 98. It was a '90s movie.
That was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, based on a true story.
See, I love Pearl Harbor, but like I said, it came out in 2001.
Pearl Harbor wouldn't make a list.
I like how you're like the end all be all of movie opinions.
That's why my name's on the podcast.
No, well, it's the same as my initials.
Yeah, but you married me, so you got the last initial from me.
Uh-huh.
No, I don't think Pearl Harbor's that great. I think there's parts
Because
of
you
it that
have
are
beef
good.
probably with the female lead.
Man, she could have waited another year to see if her husband or her boy came back from war before marrying the other guy.
They didn't get married.
It's all that movie's about.
It's not. Have you seen the movie?
I have. They use Pearl Harbor to get people to watch it, and basically it's a love story where
It's a historical drama with a love story, yes.
The guy
like
she
how many
likes
other movies?
goes and busted his ass over in England flying Spitfires to try to save the world, and she's like, "Oh, I think he died. I'll get this other guy." That's all that movie is.
I'm not saying there's not some plot holes and some weird stuff, but but it's a really good movie.
The '90s were great. I don't think there was a better generation or decade for movies across the board. We didn't even bring up Independence Day.
That's a good
It's
one.
a great one. I know you're a big fan of Twister.
Oh gosh, why didn't I put Twister on
I
here?
don't
It's
know.
not
I was
really-
waiting for it. It's not good, but it's one of those. If it's on, you're gonna watch it.
It's probably the only movie out there about tornadoes.
It has to be. How many movies can you make about tornadoes? It's way far fetched, though.
But again, that's a movie. If it's on TV, I'm watching it.
It's pretty good. That's that Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt. You didn't bring up the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, Jake, you got mad at me for a top 10. I mean, I probably could have listed 20.
The one movie I didn't bring up, and I probably should have, and I'm going to now. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first one.
I've never watched.
People think they're like these
TMNT.
corny kids movies. That first one is actually just a little drama. It's kind of deep. Like there's a lot to it. It's not just some kids, karate turtles. I mean, there's a lot to it. I really like that one.
I didn't get into Ninja Turtles. Sorry.
It's probably because you were a girl
Maybe.
and you were, I think it was more geared towards boys. Yeah, I was really surprised you didn't get Twister. That was one I thought.
I didn't think about that one. It didn't show up on any list, probably.
It's not good, but it's one of those you watch.
It's a decent movie, but it just happens to be about tornadoes.
It's far fetched. I'm sure the meteorological, the weather people cringed when that movie came out. So like this is so inaccurate.
But what's so far fetched about it?
Tornadoes do not disappear and go like ghost like in that one scene. They're like, oh, we don't know where it is, and then it just all of a sudden appears right on top of them. That doesn't happen.
Oh no, I guess I forgot about that part.
And you're not driving a truck with, was it Dorothy?
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of a tornado. That tornado is going to blow the truck and Dorothy 4 counties over.
They don't drive it into the tornado. They
They
put
get so close, that tornado would suck that truck up and put it over in Ohio from here. So it's a good movie to watch, but it's so inaccurate.
Okay, but can I tell you my favorite quote? And no, it's not the cow part.
Yeah, cows don't fly. That cow's going to get picked up and slammed to the ground, and it's not going to be good.
So it's when they're, I wouldn't even call it a meeting because it's not a meeting. That other storm chaser group.
The really fancy with
Yeah.
all the black vehicles.
And they think that they stole their Dorothy idea. And what's his name?
In the movie?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know it's Bill Paxton.
No,
Oh, the other guy?
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, he goes, look alive, boys, because days of sniffing the dirt are over. And then Dusty, the comedian of the group, he goes, "It's better than what you sniff." I don't know why. I love that quote.
That's like
Just
a quote you would hear from
like a 7-year-old.
from The Sandlot.
Yeah, it's true. From
You
like
play,
yeah or something.
you play ball like a girl.
But it's just kind of like it's better than what you sniff. I like it.
No, I did put a post up on Facebook asking people for their favorite movies from the 90s. Got quite a few responses, really. Chris Jones, Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction's a classic.
Never seen it.
Quentin Tarantino was the director in that movie. I'm not a huge Quentin Tarantino fan. His movies are just so weird. They're really good, but just not my taste. So that's why I didn't make my list, but I know it's a classic from the 90s. Elizabeth Jones, Toy Story. You had to like Toy Story.
Yeah, it was good.
That's
But Disney, I only wanted to pick one Disney movie.
Was it Disney? I think it was Pixar.
Is it now Disney Pixar? Aren't they one and the same?
I don't know.
Well, anyways,
Toy Story is really
yes.
good at that. And it was kind of, to me, one of the first movies that was the animation, but also
more
lifelike and more adult oriented.
Yes.
Like you could watch that as an adult and really enjoy it. My buddy Nick Ryan, he brought a whole list. Scream.
Well, okay, Nick. Okay, if you're listening to this, Nick, one thing I remember about Nick is he literally at his house has an entire a wall full of DVDs. So I know Nick is a huge movie buff, and I knew he probably would get into this countdown.
What was the old chain that had all the movies you could go rent?
A Blockbuster.
Blockbuster. Even Blockbuster looks.
It would rival a Blockbuster.
Blockbuster
wall.
looks at Nick's collection and be like, "Damn, and we're kind of jealous of that." He said Scream. Screams.
Ooh, Scream. Yeah, that was a good one.
Fight Club's a great movie.
I just don't really get into scary movies.
But I don't think that's like a necessarily scary movie. I mean, it was based off a true story.
Yeah, but the first time I saw Scream, I was like 9 years old, and
creepy.
it freaked me out.
Fight Club's classic. He listed Pulp Fiction, Schindler's List, Jurassic Park, Forrest Gump. So he has good taste. He has 3 of my top 5. Silence of the Lambs is just creepy.
I can't say I've ever seen Silence of the Lambs.
It's weird. And Terminator 2, not a big Terminator fan, but they are good movies. Kevin Carney, 7, weird movie.
What's that one?
It's kind of a psychological drama type thing. Kind of weird. American Beauty's, I believe that's Kevin Spacey. Really weird movie, but really good. Saving Private Ryan. Pretty Woman, Something About Mary, Braveheart. Braveheart's a classic we didn't bring up. Happy Gilmore.
I can't say I've ever seen Braveheart.
You've ever seen Braveheart?
I don't think so.
It's a classic. It's not one of my favorite classic movies, I guess.
What was the last one you said?
Happy Gilmore. Typical Adam Sandler.
Oh my gosh, you know which one I forgot? And I can't believe that I forgot it because it's not on any top list. Big Daddy. I love that movie. It came out in 99, I think.
Was it 99?
I absolutely love... That's my favorite Adam Sandler movie.
That kid made that movie, though.
Yes.
Julian.
Frankenstein. There's some... I didn't mean to cut you off, but I cannot believe I didn't put that on my list.
It's good.
Again, not Oscar nominated, but...
Yeah, I think it's the best Adam Sandler movie, though.
Oh, well, it's like the only one that he's actually kind of serious in. There's so many good one-liners in that one, too.
It's not the same typical Adam Sandler comedy, I guess you would say. And
right.
Granted, he's made millions of dollars off of them.
Okay, so sorry, continue. That just made me think of that movie.
Tommy Boy, Chris Farley at his best, pretty shortly before he passed away. The first Austin Powers, great movie.
No, I'm not an Austin Powers fan.
Jess Leahy, formerly Jess Wiesner, just recently married. Yeah. Shout out to Jess and Nathan who just got married.
She's a newlywed.
Home Alone.
Mm-hmm.
One of yours.
I knew Jess loves Home Alone.
Yeah. Ori Kennedy, Major League 2. No, sorry. Major League 1, Fantastic 2, not good. So that was that group. We have one more here. Yeah, I think in general there's probably a dozen movies that everyone kind of agrees with is
Right.
top 10, top 12 from the 1990s for sure. Can't find it here. I have to edit this out. That's why I love podcasts. There's a couple more on here. Oh, and Denise Boer, Bridges of Madison County. That's another classic. It's one of those you watch. You're like, that's really good movies. There's just so many. Clint Eastwood, I believe Meryl Streep in that one.
I can't say I've seen
Never
that
seen that one?
No. You know another really good 90s
really good
movie that I like? And you've never seen it, and you should. I think I actually have it on DVD. Fried Green Tomatoes.
Was it 90s?
I think so. I love them. And again, some of these movies, it just makes you think about when you watched them as a kid. And that has some like pretty deep
Yep, 91.
parts in it. But I do love that. That's you love Kathy Bates. Kathy Bates is in it.
When did Misery come out?
I thought that was maybe late 80s.
I think you're right. Because that would definitely be up there. No, Misery came out in 1990. Man, I did not consider that one. Oh, that one's creepy, though. She's so good in that movie.
So I think the only one of my list I would probably sub out for something else is Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, you could get rid of that one. You could get rid of...
No, we're not going to dissect my list and throw out all of them. I just talked about one that I would sub out for something else.
Yeah, I think Dumb and Dumber. I mean, I know it has its funny parts, but as a whole movie...
But you're right. I literally just wrote this down like 10 minutes before we did this.
Some of us prepared for the show and some of us didn't.
Well, it's your show, right?
All right. Well, my glass is empty. We're heading to the zoo tomorrow, so... You want to cheers? Thanks for breaking down this list. I think we had some really good movies. Always debatable.
Right. We've had people that listen to our podcast talk about our banter and how we discuss certain things. And we want you guys to know this is not a front that we put on for the show.
24/7.
This is literally how we talk about everything.
We
would make a list like this just to do it.
This is actually how this episode came out. I think we were talking about some 90s movies, and you're like, we should just do a top 5 or top whatever of movies because we were debating it one day, and God knows there's plenty of other ideas out there that you and I disagree on that could make a great podcast.
And so, if any of you have any good ideas for a top 5 or top 10 that you would like for us to debate on, please reach out to Jake.
Yeah, the one we've talked about, I think we'll probably do here soon, is top female vocalists, because I don't know why, but it becomes an intense argument when we talk about the top female vocalists because we have such different
Because it's not
opinions.
a debate.
Yeah, you're wrong and I'm right.
No, there's like 1 or 2 on my list that are non-debatable.
Well, I'm sure they're on my list, but I wouldn't say they're not debatable.
Okay.
Jill, thanks. I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun breaking down these lists. Like I said, there's so many great movies from the 90s. If you haven't seen any of these movies,
You need to hit up Family Video.
do yourself are they still open?
Family Video is.
That place has to be a front for some other business because all these other rental places have Blockbuster and I forget some of the others have closed, but Family Video, they're still opening places up. They're a front for something, but hey, props to them. Keep renting the videos. Go out and check 90s movies. If you haven't seen a lot of these movies, do yourself a favor. There's some of the best film ever. And start with Shawshank. You will not be sorry. Even though Jill didn't put it on her list.
That's a great movie.
It's an incredible movie. One of the best. Anyways, until next time, Jill, thank you. We'll do this again soon. I think the top 5 list was a big hit. Hopefully, everyone else likes it too. So,
I'll probably have a top 10.
hey, we'll make it 8 next time, so we'll compromise.
Okay.
All right. Until next time. This episode of the Jake Sewell Podcast brought to you by Boxer Baby Bow Ties. If you have a cat or dog, you have to check out Boxer Baby Bow Ties. These are fashionable accessories for cats and dogs that are handmade by owner Kyle Marie Carsey right here in Indiana. You live out of state? No worries. All items ship anywhere in the U.S. So pamper your fur baby and show off their unique personality with their accessories for fashion-forward pets. Contact Kyle at boxer.baby.bowties@gmail.com or on Instagram at boxer.babies.bowties. Also check out her online store at boxerbabyboutique.com.